All right, we are here talking all things DMV. We're here with Wayne Goodwin. We're going to pick right back up here. So can you tell us more about the new credentials the DMV unveiled in May? They're supposed to be the most secure licenses and IDs ever.
That's right. It is vital that we have secure credentials, secure cards. And as folks may know, that there are nefarious forces, not only within the nation, but around the globe, folks who are trying to steal your identity. And one of the ways to defeat that is to update and upgrade our driver licenses and IDs. The last time we had an updated license was 2015, and this new credential was unveiled in May. It is the most secure driver license and ID that North Carolina has ever had. The new credential is a 100% polycarbonate laser engraved card. It's personalized using a lot of technology you see, but a lot of technology you don't. The card looks different, it feels different, and actually it sounds different when you drop it. It contains more than 50 security features to assist law enforcement in the deterrence and detection of fraud. So the question we get is, what about the card we've had? Well, your card is good until it's expired. The old design will be phased out by the end of this month, but current licenses and ID cards will remain valid until their expiration date. It looks different too. In particular, I hope when folks get their new card, they'll see some things they haven't seen before. I think folks will be delighted. But I'm also pleased to say that not only is it the most secure card that North Carolina has ever had, it's also among the most secure in the world at this point.
All right. Yeah, definitely really interesting there. So we are now getting some questions in. We'll start with this question. Someone said, I heard a couple of years ago DMV was no longer requiring sign and vision test for in-person license renewal unless there had been tickets or accidents. Is that true? I know we spoke earlier that it's a little complicated than that.
Right. It's a little more complicated than that because, I don't want to give a blanket statement because there are a lot of folks who come in who are first-time drivers or who have medical issues or who've had suspensions. And so what I would encourage the person who's asked that question, anybody else who's interested in that, is to go online to myncdmv.gov and see if it applies to you as to about the vision tests and the like. So be prepared either way. But I would say it's a little more complicated than what the person who asked the question has said.
Okay, next question. I moved to North Carolina in May. I'm still in an Airbnb until July 1st when I move into my new place. Can I get my new driver's license now, or do I have to wait until I'm physically in my permanent residence?
Well, but by statute, I believe it's 60 days that you have to get your new driver license and ID when you've moved here. And when you move to North Carolina, and this is the same in any other state, when you move into a new state, you have to make an in-person visit so that they can verify that you are who you are. Because wherever you're coming from, there's an ID in that state or ID in that country, and you only can have one credential. So as soon as you have a mailing address, a residential, an address that you can receive mail and so on, that's when you should go. I think if it's gonna be longer than that, I think you certainly need to give us a call so we can provide you additional assistance and guidance. But really, you need to get your ID, your driver license as soon as you can. And most folks know in advance when they're moving. Most folks do when they move into a new state. So please contact us for additional guidance. But it really comes down to when you have that address nailed down.
All right, and we have about a minute or so. If my driver's license expires in 2025, will I be able to get the real ID license then?
Yes, yes. In fact, that's a great question. A lot of folks may misunderstand what it means about the real ID deadline. It's not really a deadline. It's the starting of the enforcement date. So you'll be able to get a real ID for the first time or as a renewal after May 7th, 2025. So it's not a deadline. But we do encourage folks to go ahead and get it if you can. But if you want to wait until the time for your license expires, that's fine. Just remember that if you don't have a passport, you're going to have some difficulty, traveling by commercial plane starting in May of 2025 unless you have the real ID.
All right, and remember, keep texting in those questions. The number on your screen, 336-379-5775. We were talking all things DMV. We'll be right back.